previous videos, I've spoken about some of the science by press release that occurs in the hypnotherapy field, and why a lack of critical thinking often means that people swallow up headlines rather than understanding research properly. I have a research thread in my Facebook group, and part of its aim is to have more hypnotherapists become aware of evidence that supports our field, and have them familiarize themselves with really quality evidence-based literature. And then what happens is that some people find some evidence that they believe supports a particular train of thought, and they share it and discuss it. Sometimes it's something from Wikipedia. Sometimes it is a David Avocado Wolf meme. Other times it's a journal entry of some kind. So how can you tell and work out if it is quality evidence that warrants being shared at all and actually supports a point? And that's what this video today is about. I'm offering up a brief overview of how to assess hypnotherapy evidence using PROMPT, P-R-O-M-P-T. Provenance, relevance, objectivity, method, presentation, timeliness. You'll no doubt hear Raymond Blanc or a master chef judge talking about provenance, and it means the same as in that context. Examine the provenance of a piece of information. Ask who produced it and where it came from. Those kinds of questions may provide a useful clue to its reliability. It represents the credentials of a piece of information that supports its status and its perceived value. It's therefore very important to be able to identify the author, the sponsoring body, or the source of your information. It's well worth finding out whether an author is known to have a particular perspective on the topic before you go around quoting them as a neutral source of reliable information. And what's more, there are many organizations that sponsor research, so you should be asking some more questions about any kind of or such organization. You know, what type of organization is it? Is it a commercial company, a voluntary organization, a statutory body, a research organization? You know, a friend of mine keeps quoting research to me about his latest running shoes, but the research that he shows me was sponsored by the same shoe manufacturer. So if you're considering provenance of information, you may also want to consider the method of publication. You know, any individual can publish anything on the World Wide Web, or post a discussion somewhere on a forum. I get amazed by how many students used to put Wikipedia in their bibliographies for their coursework, and today I explain to my students that that's just not permitted. And I see hypnotherapists arguing on hypnosis forums and in discussion groups, using opinions of well-known trainers as if they are established, empirically evidenced facts. You know, is the information peer-reviewed? Many electronic journals do not have a peer review process, for example. I've had people quote me articles from the 14 Times or a UFO journal, you know, casual link here, and they're not peer-reviewed. They're not necessarily a highly respected journal, and that needs to be considered from time to time. So the provenance of information that's used in relation to hypnosis and hypnotherapy is not always directly indicative of its quality, though. You know, there are theories around that suggest that academic work is often highly valued just because it comes from a prestigious research group or is published in a prestigious journal. Of course, all hypnosis professionals should judge information on its own merits. However, provenance can be, incredibly useful when weighing up the reliability of information. It's worth taking the opportunity to check things out. Then we have relevance. You know, relevance is important when looking at the quality of information in the hypnosis and hypnotherapy fields. Relevance is not a property of the information itself, but rather its relationship to the need that you've identified, the point that you're making. So many people argue using wholly irrelevant pieces of information to support their stance. You might want to refer to a previous, kind of videos of mine where I've spoken about certain logical fallacies, if you wanted to explore that more. Some hypnosis professionals offer up very high quality pieces of information, but they're not relevant to the topic or the question that's being asked or discussed. And so objectivity, in an ideal world, objective or balanced information would present all the evidence and all the arguments and leave you to weigh this up and draw some conclusions. In the real world, however, we need to recognize that all information is presented from a position of some kind of interest. And although this may not necessarily be intentional, true objectivity may be a bit of an unachievable ideal. And this means that the onus is on you, the reader or the presenter of the information, to develop a critical awareness of the positions that are represented in what you're reading, and to take account of this when you interpret the information. That is, don't just use it to verify what you say, but attempt to understand the other side too, in order to improve your own stance, your own position. It's also important to recognize that your own belief systems and opinions are going to influence your ability to be dispassionate and objectively evaluate the information. And, I'm sad to say it's something which is rare in the hypnosis and hypnotherapy forums that I encounter. In some cases, hypnotists and hypnotherapists may be explicitly expressing a particular viewpoint, and this is perfectly valid as long as they are explicit about the perspective that they represent. Hidden bias or errors of omission, whether or not it's deliberate, can be very misleading, especially if someone's just telling you about a singular perspective. So look out for opinions. Academic articles don't often present unsubstantiated theories for debate. Look out for opinion presented as if it were fact. Notice the way hypnosis professionals use language when presenting theories. Spot language that's either emotionally charged or vague, for example. When we look into the methodology aspect of prompt, this is not referring to the evaluation of research methods per se, but to the information that's produced as a result of using particular methods. You should always ask questions about the sample size, the nature of the study, whether research included the use of control groups, and the questionnaire design that was used. Some initial ways to look at the methods involved are there. Do not necessarily think that because a piece of research or literature of some kind has been accepted for publication, that it's therefore free from problems and meets a certain standard. There have been some cases of fraudulent research that have successfully fooled the research establishments and been published in high-profile journals before. And presentation, the way in which information is presented, has a profound effect upon the way in which we receive and perceive it. There are many aspects of presentation, any of which, if badly applied, can create a bit of a barrier between the message and the audience. Be aware that poor presentation and inappropriate or confusing use of language may well hinder your ability to critically evaluate the academic content. Try not to let poor presentation stop you from using what otherwise might be good quality or relevant information. Finally, we have timeliness. The date when information was produced or published might be an important aspect of quality regarding the information that you're using or quoting. And this is not quite as simple as saying that good information has to be up to date. It depends on your information need. Many hypnotherapy professionals offer up ancient laws as ways of developing their arguments when modern science has disproved such laws. Others may quote outmoded or outdated research. Yet some research may be old and also still be very relevant. You can examine timeliness quite simply by asking if it's clear when the information was produced, and inquire as to whether the date of the information meets the requirements in the way in which the information is needed. And of course, consider whether or not the information or the source is obsolete. That is, has it been superseded? And that's particularly important. We could quote something from a very long time ago, but has it been superseded by more recent research? I hope that helps give you an idea of how to examine points that people make when they're citing research, and to examine whether it's good research to be citing or not. What do you think of my new Hypnosis Geek t-shirt? If you want one, we've got a collection of them. I'll put a link in the comments section below. Bye for now.